Hey, what's up guys? Hope everybody's doing well and having a great day. In this video, we're going to look at some weather extremes from both the northern and southern hemispheres all around the world, including right out here in Phoenix, Arizona, where the temperatures have been literally off the charts. Today's supposed to be another record. If it does reach 117 as forecasted, that will be 2 degrees above the old record. Supposed to be 117 again tomorrow and on Saturday. It is insanely hot, and there are also wildfires over near Globe, Arizona. That would be in the Tonto National Forest region. That wildfire smoke is wrapping around the Phoenix area. This is sunset yesterday evening at around 6 p.m. Looking to the west, obviously, and you can see an orange haze in front of the sun. That would be over here as the wind currents are carrying that smoke from east to west. The wildfires aren't that big, but anytime the fires burn in these mountains over here, they're very difficult to get to and put out, so they kind of have to run their course. But right now, wildfires are starting already right out here in the desert. Also in this video, we're going down to Melbourne, Australia, where I received some photos from Greg of a very intense storm that rolled through about a week ago, uprooting and basically snapping off at the ground some very large trees, as you'll see by the photos I'm going to share with you in this video. Also, thousands of miles away up in the northern hemisphere in Newfoundland, they had some incredible temperature swings of 61 degrees in 48 hours. Went from a scorching hot summer day to snow. Unbelievable. We're going to come back and take a look at all that stuff here in just a moment. But first, here at the website, quick look at the Schumann Resonance, and you can also see there's some activity going on here. A couple of very large, long-duration spikes. Could be the side effects of an Earth-facing coronal hole, but not 100% sure. Hopping over to the Yellowstone supervolcano Caldera, looking at the seismographs that monitor the mighty supervolcano. Today, looking pretty good, or at least this is what we see now on pretty much a day-to-day basis. A little bit of dark blue, that indicates some sort of resonance being detected by these seismographs. Taking a look at June 13th from 4 days ago, you can see we had some more of that, what we were calling some sort of a code that was picked up on all of the seismographs. See the white marks on all of the seismographs? That's in the same exact time slot on every seismograph across the supervolcano Caldera. That was the 13th, and here's another set of these same mysterious anomalies showing up at the Yellowstone supervolcano Caldera. It's almost like some sort of a code that's being detected at the same exact time. This is the third different time now we've seen this type of anomaly show up over here at the caldera of the supervolcano, and I have no idea what it means. I've never seen anything quite like that before, but as far as today goes, they're not there. There's no earthquakes or anything like that. What does seem to be showing up is a little bit of magma intrusion. Looking at the 5-day forecast with regard to tropical cyclone hurricane activity in the Atlantic basin, you can see there's something forming in the Gulf of Mexico, the southern Gulf of Mexico, that's more than likely going to at least become a tropical depression, maybe, and that's a big maybe. There's a lot of wind shear moving through the Gulf of Mexico, so that thing is going to have a very difficult time becoming an organized hurricane. I doubt very seriously if it does. You can see what's going on here at the GOES 16. Right down here in the southern part of the Gulf of Mexico is the center of rotation, and you can see the wind shear blowing from left to right. Has this storm system on tilt. It's all leaning towards the right. That is because of wind shear. This thing is more than likely not going to have a chance to get organized. The National Hurricane Center is showing it making some sort of a landfall as possibly a subtropical depression. Doubt very seriously it's going to be a hurricane, guys. There's way too much wind shear. If it does make landfall, and you can see based off of the infrared, most of the moisture is on the right-hand side. If it makes landfall here in the New Orleans area, most of the moisture is going to be over in Mississippi and Alabama, as you can see here at windy.com, showing anywhere from 5 to 6 inches of potential rainfall, but that is subject to change. If this thing slows down, it could be more. If it speeds up, it could be less. Looking at the Sahara sand traveling across the main development region, that is the stretch of ocean between Africa, Western Africa, and the Caribbean. Right now, it's loaded with a fair amount of Sahara sand. There's not going to be any storms form in here because that disrupts the formation of hurricanes. However, they could form up here in the mid-Atlantic or over in the Gulf of Mexico like we're seeing right here. But since there's a lot of wind shear right now, that too is going to influence the formation of hurricanes. Also looking at the upper level winds of planet Earth, I've noticed something very unique that I've never noticed before, and it's only visible in the northern hemisphere. We're going to come back and talk more about this in just a moment, but there's clearly something going on in the upper part of the atmosphere with regard to upper level winds. I wanted to start down here near Melbourne, Australia. I'm going to show you guys some more pictures that were sent in by Greg from Melbourne, June 11th, 2021. Extreme winds that very well could have been influenced by those high winds in the upper levels of the atmosphere. Greg, June 11th, 2021. Look at the size of that tree. That is one of many towering, huge old trees that were blown over by some incredible winds that went through the Melbourne area. Large storm system that took out a lot of these giant trees. Look at this man here, full-grown man, and the girth of this tree is almost as big as he is. That is a mammoth tree that got knocked over like it was a twig. And again, this is one of many trees that were blown over by very high winds that went through the Melbourne area about a week ago. You can see another large tree here uprooted, covering the entire road, easily covering the entire road. Here's another root system that's completely exposed. The tree was probably so tall and possibly top heavy, that it just came up out of the ground with the influence of very high winds. These over here on the left, you can see were snapped off at the ground. They weren't necessarily uprooted. Those were snapped off at the base. That reminds me of a straight line wind event that we see sometimes with regard to telephone poles breaking off at the ground from straight line winds. So whatever it was a strong storm system. It wasn't a cyclone. It's not cyclone season down here. And this energy here that's just above southern Australia could have influenced the storm down lower that created those very, very high winds. Now we're going to go up to Newfoundland. Just a freak weather event that occurred a few days ago. Pictures sent in by Phil, who lives in Newfoundland. This is from the inside of his vehicle. It was 33 degrees Celsius, which is 91 degrees Fahrenheit on June 8th of 2021. Couple of days later, on June 10th, everything changed quite drastically. It was like it went from summer to winter in 48 hours. These photos were sent in by Phil. This was the day that it was 91 degrees, 33 degrees Celsius, which according to Phil is about 30 degrees above average. He said normally it's in the 60s or mid to lower 60s. 48 hours later, this is what it looked like on June the 10th. Snow on the ground. And the temperature, 26 degrees. Weatherman here talking about what went on up in Newfoundland. A 36-degree difference, and that would be in Celsius, in 48 hours. Went from a bright, sunny, very hot day to snowing 48 hours later. I mean, that is truly an enigma, going from one season now almost instantly, well, at least in 48 hours. Pretty incredible. Thank you, Phil, for sharing. Appreciate that. I want to show you guys now a large dust storm that was over off the coast of Yemen and Oman, or right along the coast. This, once again, is over at nullschool.net, where we track the Sahara sand. That white color indicates a very thick, more than likely, an entire wall of sand that reaches way up into the atmosphere, spanning 1,100 miles. I measured it here on Google Earth. In fact, I'll measure it again from here to here. Actually, it's a little over 1,200 miles long. That's what we're looking at right here. More than likely, that is a wall of sand that expands over 1,000 miles. Incredible. A lot of amazing weather phenomena going on right now. And now I want to go back to nullschool.net. Take a look at the upper level winds of planet Earth. I want to show you guys something that I found that qualifies as an earth change, at least to me. I've never seen anything quite like this. I've been following Null School and the weather patterns and wind patterns over here for many, many years. I'm not saying that this is anything nefarious. I just don't know how to interpret what we're looking at here. The bottom part of the globe, obviously the southern hemisphere, we have a large clockwise rotation above the South Pole. Pole. In the northern hemisphere, there's not much going on with regard to a bona fide center of rotation, very high-speed center of rotation like we see down south, and those winds are pushing anywhere from 160 to 180 miles per hour in the upper levels of the atmosphere. If you look up here in the northern hemisphere, see how it's real choppy above the equator? Look at that. Look how choppy that is. And this again is in the upper levels of the atmosphere. See the waves in the upper levels of the northern hemisphere? This is in the sky, but those are very choppy winds. If we go back in time, and let's say, I don't know, let's go back to 2019. You'll see a difference. You'll see what I'm talking about. See how smooth it is? You don't see those very choppy winds encompassing the entire northern hemisphere. Let's go to 2018 and take a look. Relatively smooth compared to what we're seeing now in 2021. Let's go back to 2017. I'll show you another example. Very smooth compared to what we're seeing right now. You don't see that very choppy appearance like we're seeing today. Go back another year, 2016. 5 years ago, same thing. Very smooth all the way around in the upper levels of Earth's atmosphere. These would be the upper level winds. But for some reason, if we look at now, see the big difference? See how choppy they are? All the way around the northern hemisphere. Not exactly sure what that's implying. It's almost like the northern hemisphere of the Earth is sensing something, and maybe this is a side effect of something else that's going on in space, and it's being picked up now by the northern hemisphere of the Earth. Those are very unusual. I've never seen patterns like that in the northern hemisphere, especially encompassing the entire northern hemisphere. But whatever it is, there's a lot of choppy energy expanding from the equator all the way up to the very far reaches of the North Pole. Thanks for watching. Have a super day, and be safe out there.